Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I am joined by Dana.
Hey.
She has come back to life, died again, and come back to life again. She can't handle all the drama.
No, I can't. You're doing this to me on purpose. Personally, you.
Yes,
And
I
the
am.
writers of the show.
Tonight we're talking about Dawson's Creek, Season 2, Episodes 16 through 18. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. I just was watching us in like the backstage area, and we both were like,
I dance every time. The little shimmy.
I do too.
I love the little theme song. It's a bop. It's a short little bop.
So, episode 16 is titled Be Careful What You Wish For. And the basic premise is it's Dawson's 16th birthday. So he's finally 16.
Finally.
He's kind of down in the dumps about his life. He feels like everybody's moving forward and changing, and he's just Dawson. He's still the same.
This is a very Dawson move to be freaking out that he hasn't I don't know, one life.
Right.
Like as if it's like he's having a quarter life crisis at 16.
Right.
Like when you're like, what have I done with my life? I haven't done anything yet. Like, when you expect you to be doing more. But at 16, apparently. That's
I felt
Dawson.
foul on him because he was like trash talking Jen. He was like, even Jen, who's drunk all the time, is like she's doing something. Like she hasn't been drunk for like 6 weeks. She's been like on the mend. I feel like.
Correct. I think his whole diatribe to Pacey was a little unhinged, like on a lot of different levels. He was just trashing everything and everyone except for Joey.
Yeah.
Pacey was not even safe.
I'm not really sure who's behind the planning of the surprise party, but the parents are in on it. They're having a surprise party for him at the house. Joey's helping out. Pacey's in charge of getting him there without him finding out that it's a surprise party. Andy has now started therapy, finally.
And the girl needs it.
And the doctor, instead of prescribing her new medication, prescribes her to act like a 16-year-old girl and just like let loose and have fun.
Hell yeah.
So it looked like Pacey took Andy and Dawson to the bar that Jen's boyfriend, I can't remember his name.
I think it's like Travis or Trey or Tyson or something.
Ty sounds familiar, yeah. Ty.
All the T names. Thomas. Who knows?
It's either Trey or Ty. I'm gonna go with Ty.
Yeah.
It looked like the same bar. Meanwhile, Dawson's parents are kind of like butting heads over the fact that Gail bought him a brand new car for his birthday without consulting with Mitch, because he was thinking they would go in on like an old like fixer-upper as his first car. So there's a power struggle there. Gail's kind of rubbing it in his face that she makes the money and she's making all the decisions, so she didn't think she needed to consult with him.
I mean, like, why would I agree with Gail.
This is the first, they kind of slip in a tidbit that leads into something bigger. He mentioned something about putting the restaurant planning or business or his dream on hold and going into the school to teach. So I'm like, oh, Mitch has a teaching degree? I didn't know this.
I didn't know Mitch had anything at all. I was shocked that he had any abilities, because the fact that he was surviving, we're in the year of our Lord 2024, where it's a real estate hellscape, where rent is too damn high. And to think that he could just live life YOLOing for an exposed brick like apartment in Rhode Island somewhere without a job,
Right.
Oh, I wanna know. It's been a long time, apparently. So housing was affordable, and that was my takeaway from that. Was like, "Damn, Mitch, you don't got a job, you're just getting a job now? It's been months."
Yeah, and usually any kind of real estate by any kind of water is more expensive, and they live by the water, so
Seriously, talk about how there's just so many rich people in town all the time. So that
right.
means that the community is up there, like upper
Right.
crust. So that apartment ain't cheap. So it's
Well,
like, wow, where you get money, bro?
there definitely some kind of, like, uh, waterfront, like, beach community because Joey mentioned in season 1 when she had that boyfriend that she lied, like, about who she was, being, like, from New York, um,
Mhm.
she mentioned that, like, the tourists come through in the summer, so it must be some kind of, like, summery, Rhode Island-y
Yeah,
vacation spot.
yeah. So either way, we know it's probably a lot of money by late '90s standards. That's like,
Mhm.
we would only pray for late '90s rent prices at this time in
I'm
our
actually
lives, but
I don't know if they ever actually say what state they're in, but I'm gonna go more towards Massachusetts because the college years,
uh
they're in Boston, and they go back to Cape Side quite often, so I feel like it has to be close.
well, they kept saying in season 1 how they would just that Providence was, like, the closest big city to them. So they
Okay,
like, Andy's dad is in Providence, so I was like, "Okay, this is definitely Rhode." And then honestly, Boston and Rhode Island are really not far from each other. Like, they're kind
right.
of like a
It could
couple
be like Cape
hours.
Cod or something.
I mean, like, maybe Cape Side is kinda Cape Cod,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? It's a AU version of Cape Cod, but,
Mhm.
like, again, still, like, it was a huge shocker, like, that Mitch has not had a steady income still, and they have been split up for a minute now, and I believe Gail was never going to be able to work it out with him, like, to get a car cut
Right.
for him, and,
Yeah.
ugh, I can't.
So, Abby Morgan's back, and she seems to have this new, like, obsession with Jack now that he's gay, like, out and proud. She, like
Mhm.
I don't know. It was very weird. I didn't know what she was up to. I didn't know if it
Mhm.
was, like, an ego thing to see if she could like, sleep with him and be like, "Yeah, not so gay," or whatever. It ends up being that she kisses him and tells her girlfriends,
Yeah.
and she's like,
Well,
"Not so gay after all," and then he, like, walks by and he's, like, gayer than ever. Also, he has
thank
a
God.
new haircut.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we have entered the era of the shark fin flip up for the boys, where they do
Yes.
this like, flat thing and they flip up the front of their hair. If you notice that, like, Pacey started his hair started to, like, slowly turn into a shark's fin.
Yeah.
It's like mop the mop look, and then now they're getting a little foo-foo. Um,
Yep.
like, "Oh, I'm glad we're seeing that." Starting to change. I will say though, Abby's fashion, her fashion in that particular scene when she comes up to the ice box, it was kind of like, oh, what are you wearing, girl? She was like epitome of like early 2000s, late 90s fashion. She had her little sprigs of hair in her little buns, and like I think she was wearing like a gay strap with like the chunky heels. Same thing with Andy.
Mhm.
Andy also in this episode too. She looked real good.
Um,
Uh
I can't be 100% positive, but I
Mhm.
think I may have saw some butterfly clips.
Ah, yes, it's the time. Well, with like it was like Adelia's catalog walking across the screen watching this
Right.
episode. Oh, my chunky heels, my thin spaghetti strap dresses, yes, queens with my little buns and the little hair that they
Yeah,
just lays around and
yeah.
like five of them around the head. Like the one girl, the one friend where she had like little buns and they were going like this. I'm like, yo, that was me. I was that girl.
What were those things? They were like you stretch it was like a stretchy thing, like claws, and you would put it and it would almost like pull your hair back.
It was like it
Yeah.
was a zigzag. Yes, yes. And the big fat hair clips, like the big ones that you'd like snap like this. You know what
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about? They look like
Yeah.
angles. Like Andy had a couple. I was dying. I was like, this is the best. I love this so much. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is the stuff right there. Early high school, baby. Woo.
Um, I like to call Jack's new haircut his Final Destination haircut because that he has that haircut in the movie Final Destination that he's in.
Really style and
Maybe he
like, this
just
is
filmed the
it.
movie, or maybe he's, like, in the middle of filming that movie.
Maybe, maybe, maybe. Oh yeah, man.
Or maybe that was, like, a
I
summer
was
vacation movie that he does, like, after the season ends. But
yeah. Oh
so,
my
yeah,
god.
so, and Andy, Abby ends up just kissing him and, bragging to her girlfriends. I feel like she would've slept with him, though, if he would've, like if they hadn't been interrupted. But, we'll get why
Yeah,
they were interrupted in a minute. So back
yeah.
to the club or the bar, whatever. Um, Dawson and Andy at
I'm
first
sorry,
just,
but
like, take sodas, and then they start adding rum,
yeah,
and a little less soda and
yeah.
more rum.
Like, okay, I've never ever once been able to get into a bar without being carded at the door.
Right.
How are they getting into this place? Like, it has to be like a bar restaurant,
Mhm.
or is it just a jazz bar? Because it's kind of like I don't see how it's possible unless Rhode Island has a little looser, or it was looser back in the day where they
Right.
just let anybody come and call them at the bar. I guess I don't know, but I was just thinking that the whole time. I'm like, I don't even know how y'all are sitting in this place right now.
Um, Andy and Dawson end up getting drunk, and they end up singing the blues. And at one
Oh,
point, Dawson mentions that his girlfriend left for a guy that turned out to be gay, and then when Andy starts singing the blues, she's like, "My brother's the gay guy."
they did so good. I'm not gonna. Okay, I kind of love Dawson drunk. I think it's hysterical. I think like that whole the blues line that they were perfect. Like I loved how like they hit upon everything and you kept going like ooh, and then you just come back around and just laughing at them because they're absolutely unhinged, and I thought that was amazing.
Having seen James Van Der Beek in interviews and just, like, kind of, like, candid some in like, on
Mhm.
things, I feel like that was more him coming through than Dawson, because he's actually a
For
funny guy.
sure. Yeah, playing drunk is also an art form, like because
Right.
you can't be too sloppy because it's too cartoony, but you
Mhm.
also aren't normal, and I love, like, the moment because you couldn't because he wasn't playing it too drunk, like because he's at the table, he's fine, because it's exactly what happens normally, you drink a bunch and you feel fine, but the minute you stand up or you have to navigate
Yeah,
moving from one location to the other, that's when it all becomes very apparent how drunk you really are, and you
right.
feel it the worst. So, like, when he walked up on the stage, you can see him kinda go, "Oh, oh, hey." You know, just kinda comes back around, and then he's
Also,
like,
do
"Alright,
you know that
let's
Pacey
go."
stole his father's cop car again to take them out?
Yeah, I
Underage
love
drinking.
that. Plus then, like, for someone who has, like, insane father, you would think he would never be able to get that cop car out of the driveway ever
Right.
again, but Pacey's too good,
He must take
and
it when
he's
his dad,
also,
like,
like,
falls asleep drunk at night or something. His dad looks like a
yo, that is it, right? Oh my god, that puts, like, it all on another level, like, how I always wonder, how are you getting away with this?
Yeah.
It's because his dad's an alcoholic and passes out, and he just goes, "Whoop,"
Oh,
and just
right.
leaves.
I just said his dad looks like a
Yeah,
drinker. His dad is a drinker. He passed out on the beach.
he's
That's
a
when I
drinker,
think he had that emotional scene that
that's
I
what
called.
happened. Yeah, exactly, that it just went, "Ooh."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know how they put that together." It's that's what makes this show actually really great because it's kinda like, obviously, in subsequent viewings, you'll catch a little bit more that the
Mhm.
writers put down for you than you did the first time because you're too distracted by all the big things that are going on that you don't see the little crumbs that the writers are leaving for you to give you clear idea what's happening in everyone's life. Like, there's no
Yeah, I
real,
feel like
like,
that's the
shock.
experience I'm having. I'm picking up on the little details because
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
the big things that are coming, that I'm using to torture you with.
Get massive.
So,
Oh.
Casey ends up getting Dawson and Andy back to the house, and Dawson, like, oh, he when they were leaving the bar, he was like, "Come on, we're already late to the surprise party that they think I don't know about."
Yep. Yep. Oh, that was funny. I thought Dawson was like, I thought one of the best things, I think I summed up like almost every episode with like a thing, and this one was like, Dawson is a great, funny drunk. Like he's a funny drunk. He's a funny guy as when drunk. Everything he says is a zinger. He's got a little quips for absolute every moment. Every response is all filled with like funny truths, essentially.
Yeah. So he ends up like ripping into everybody, his parents, about how like they can't get it together. Pacey, who's
Yeah.
like now a straight B on the verge of an A student, and he's like, I don't even recognize you. And the only one that he's
Yeah.
kind of nice to is Joey, and he's just like, my Joey, the love of my life. And he goes to kiss her, but
Yeah.
Joey kind of pulls away, and he falls face first into his cake.
Which he deserves. He was getting on our hands. I
Yeah,
think he like tells he's like, I wish my I think he's like, I wish my mom didn't sleep with her coworker.
right.
And I wish my dad would stop talking about getting a job and get a damn job. And I'm like, thank you.
And then when he was
He
like,
did say
they broke up so
yeah.
she could find herself, he's like, Joey, where's Joey? Like he was like looking for her
Oh
'cause
my
he was
god, that's
lost.
what he mean. It was so fucking funny. I was like, I don't know how everyone's not immediately dying because I would have been cracking my ass up at this. If I was at this party, I'd be like, this is hysterical. Look at him be absolutely crazy. He also did say to Pacey though that he admitted that he's like, your life's supposed to be shit, so mine looks good in
Yeah,
comparison. And
so
I
I can
thought
feel
that
better
was
about
like
mine.
truth. Oh god. You know what I mean? Like just truth bombs for
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
Oh, Jen and Ty are at the party, and they get a little hot and
Mhm.
heavy in the backseat of a car, and I'm like, okay, another Titanic reference with the fogged up window and her hand on the window. I'm like, really? We're doing this? I get it. Titanic was kind of a big deal then still, but like, come on.
Yeah. Yep. 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 They know they're all
But
oh, fancy, I
Ty
feel like.
stops her and they get into a fight because he doesn't believe in premarital sex. And she's like, how dare you insinuate that that's what was going to happen? And he's basically like, I know your reputation. Kissing leads to more with you. And she's like, did you just call me a whore? And
I
he's like,
can't
no. And
win.
she's like, then how come I've never felt more like one?
Yeah.
So
I thought she handled that amazingly. I feel like Jen handles when people tell her she's a whore really well each
yeah,
time because like she's gotten it from literally everyone. Like I
yeah.
feel like every single person she's met here has said she's a whore one way or the other, like
My
whether
favorite
fake
was
or
when
not.
Dawson was acting weird and he was just like making his flip comments. And she was like, you better clarify yourself before I rip your face off.
Right. She's such a class act. Like I really do think she's classy smart. She's so smart. And I never thought they were gonna because it's like those people, they consider those beliefs fundamental parts of their personality. Like
And
you don't
said,
just like
she
when
pretty
he
much said such to the last episode.
and he was saying like, oh, but my narrow mindedness can be are up for discussion. It's like, are they though? Like,
Yeah,
and also, does she want to even have those discussions every single time something happens? Like when you
right.
guys have an argument about some like human rights for that matter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was just like, nah.
It almost felt like a waste. It was obviously filler just to just give her something to do, but it felt like a waste just to get to the same conclusion we were at in the last episode, is that it's not gonna
Yeah.
work out.
It's just like fully committing to the fact that like if someone is having their own issues, they don't can't use a relationship to get beyond them. Like
Yeah,
you can't like you're using the relationship as an escape and then also trying to force feed his thoughts onto Jen and Jen's already been down that road and she don't want none of it. I
right.
mean, she lives with her grandma. crying out loud.
Yeah.
Grandma's been trying to get that going forever, and they ain't working. It ain't gonna work for him. Like,
Um,
she been trying to get him on the Jesus train, and it ain't work.
so I thought I laughed when Joey and not Joey, Andy and Dawson both got sick at the same time. He was throwing up in the sink, which was gross, and she was hugging the toilet.
It's very yes. I think I said, "Ew," in the sink.
Yeah, me
Ew.
too.
But then when I saw that Andy was in the toilet, I was like, okay." And then they did the classic thing, and we're like, "I'm never gonna drink again."
Right.
Oh god, if I look at alcohol, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take it from me. I was like, "That's so classic."
Yeah, I've made that promise quite a few times in my
Me
life.
too. Me too. We all have. You have to say it at least once in your life, right? Oh, I'm never gonna
How
drink.
quickly we forget how we felt the last time we got sick.
Very, very. This is very solid episode for me. I was like, "Oh God, I've been there." Each
Um,
time.
Gail decides she's gonna return the car because she feels like, given tonight's events, Dawson is not mature enough to handle a car or a new car. And her and Mitch, she agrees to like go halvesies on like a fixer-upper. I think this may be the scene where he says he's gonna go back into teaching.
Mhm,
Um, I guess when Dawson's a little bit more sobered up and not sick, he's in bed and Joey's there talking to him.
mhm,
And he's basically just like professing his feelings for her. He tells her that he loves her. And he ends up passing out, and Joey's like fighting back tears, and she's like, I love you too.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, they were struggling. So, like, yeah, because like earlier in the episode, he has like this epiphany, like after like the midnight insaneness with Pacey. I know what I need to do. I need to be with Joey. That's it. That's it. That's all I got. Like, tells her as much the next day, and she's just kind of like, "No, I need to still find myself." Remember? And he was like, "Well, you decided to find yourself with Jack." There was a lot of like very not so subtle like digs at Jack being gay like throughout the whole episode that I was like,
yeah,
"What the fuck?" Like, I know you're mad, but at the same time, like, it has nothing to do with Joey. Like, yeah,
yeah,
she's a young girl. They're all young and dumb and stupid, you know? Like, come on.
yeah,
And like this was just yeah, this was all just being like Dawson has no excuse. He's just being shitty. Typical Dawson. But like but like at the end there, it was basically just him being like, I just love you so when he's like, I just love you so much. And I was like, oh God, I know that too. Oh, when you're just so into someone and you just your whole body hurts at the thought of like not being with them. And you're still kind of drunk. You know what I mean?
um,
Uh,
so I think that was pretty much it for that episode. Did I forget anything you wanted to mention?
no, I don't think so. He's just an absolutely unhinged, hilarious drunk. I was like, Dawson needs to be drunk more often. He's so fucking funny. Oh, so funny.
Um,
The about Abby though that I wanted to mention is that I think the thing with Jack was maybe kind of a conquest thing, but that's like her default. She just wants to be a butthead about like
yeah,
absolutely everything.
right,
But also, she did say that he's an outcast like her. Like she's an outcast. You're an outcast now. Welcome to the club. Now she's kind
yeah.
of like not alone that like they can be camaraderie like on it. And she also I think she might be some bisexual. That's she was talking about how everybody was bisexual, and I was like, "Oh, Abby, are you bisexual? Is that what this is? I don't know." She was
You
kind
never
of like,
really know. Yeah, but you never really know what's coming out of Abby's mouth if it's true or not because she lies.
no, she says things. You can't take anything she says with value anyway, either. Like
I feel
she'll
like the
say she
realest
needs.
thing she ever said was when, at Dawson's house when she got kicked out and she slept on the lawn and Andy found
Mhm,
her and she was just like, "My life's boring, nothing happens." Like, that was her realest
yeah,
moment.
I think so too. I think so too. Yeah,
Um, but there was something to what she was saying about, be like, sexuality being fluid, and she's like, "We're all a little
yeah.
gay."
I mean, like there is no, like, it's just that the Puritan binary, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's
Mhm.
kinda what she was saying that is so, it's so boring. Like, why
Yeah.
would you wanna be that way? When in reality,
Mhm.
we're like the cool ones that just wanna keep us down. And
Yeah.
so, like, she was trying to kind of, I guess, usher him in, like, fold, saying like, "Hey, you're not alone. I am also, an outcast, and if you're feeling alone, you can always be with me, and we can do whatever. I don't care."
But also it's because it was a scandal and it makes him interesting, and she's just so bored all the time. She's always, like, looking to, like
Right.
yeah.
You can't take anything she says worth a damn. Like, she
Yeah.
kind of like everything that you think is sincere could not be sincere, and everything that you think isn't sincere could be sincere. Like, she's really just all over the place for all kinds of reasons. So
Yeah.
it's like, I no wonder she's like, I think a very lonely person in general. Like, because why else?
Um,
Yeah.
so episode 17 is titled Psychic Friends, and there's some,
Mhm.
like, festival, carnival thing going on where people are selling things. I don't know if it's for I think it's for charity. Um,
Mhm.
Pacey ends up working at the police stand doing a voice for, like, a puppet.
I love it so much. I love this so much for him.
The whole, like, "I know you are one of my thing," was just like, "Is that" I was
I
like, "Oh."
love the whole Yeah, the whole thing, Andy, how she's trying to get she's like, "Come on, do the puppet voice. Like, you gotta do the voice with the puppet, and then if you come and, like, we get to do this stuff." It was just so funny. I was dying.
Do you ever notice how Pacey's go-to, like, impersonation voice is always, like, the Scottish accent?
Kind of, yeah.
He did
Yeah,
that same accent when he was in the beauty pageant, and he was doing his little skit.
yeah, he's got a go-to impression, I guess. He must be,
Yeah.
like, in the back pocket, someone he knows, something
Right.
like that. Yeah, I just thought
Uh,
it was hysterical.
there's a fortune teller at this thing that everybody's a little bit intrigued with. Some are more skeptical than others. Um, I did enjoy that it seemed like Jack and Joey are kind of, becoming, like, besties a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
they're kinda like, "Alright, we dated, didn't work out, you're gay, whatever, fine, we're friends." Like, it just seems like it's
I'm
safe to
not
see. It
yeah.
was funny when Joey was kinda, like, rating guys, and he was like, "I'm not gonna check out guys with you." And she was like, "Come on, we're just, like, rating them."
Well, it's like it's really heartwarming because you know that, like, they shared some intimate moments, so there's obviously a lot of trust still there, and, like,
Mhm.
Jack needs that in his life, otherwise he'd be kinda ostracized or forced to hang out with Abby, and who wants that? No one.
Right.
Like, so, I love that, like, they were becoming besties and being able to talk to each other and kind of, like, because they know each other very intimately, and it kinda makes you, like, instant best friends. Like, if you realize romantically it's not gonna work out, you obviously had some connection, otherwise you wouldn't have even gotten together to begin with. Some
Right.
chemistry is still there, just friendship chemistry, and I love it for them. They need each other.
Um, Jen is with her grandmother working some stand, and some guy that she went to high school with is there, and he's kinda flirting with Grams. And Jen's like, "You should go out with him." And she's like, I feel like Grams is very much like, "No, I married your grandfather, and that's the only guy for me. I'm never gonna date again."
Yeah. Yeah, my life's over. I don't do that sort of stuff anymore. And I'm
Yeah,
so happy Jen's like, "Nah, you're gonna say yes. Like,
yeah.
say yes. Like, enjoy the attention." And it was so cute.
She, like, dyed her
Uh,
hair, put on her makeup for her. Fun fact, the actress that plays Grams is not as old as they try to make her out to be. They actually
I
had to, like, dye gray into her hair for the show. That's not
I
her
had a
natural gray
feeling.
hair. Yeah.
I didn't think so. When they glowed her up so easily, I was like, "Oh, we all know this is who she really is on the down low.
Yeah.
Like, we all know this girl out in her life. It looks so pretty." And I was like, "Oh my god, look how pretty."
Um, Jack and Joey go to see the
Because
fortune teller, and the fortune teller tells her that, like, uh, basically a mystery guy, like a tall, dark man is gonna come into her life.
Mhm.
So Joey's just kinda skeptical, and she's like, "Yeah, okay." And I guess she's, like, trying to sell art. I don't know if it's her art or
Yeah, I think
whatever.
her drawing her like, there's a bunch of different people just putting up artwork of and her
Okay.
drawings are there for people to see and I guess buy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and this guy admires them, and he seemingly is flirting with her, and he's a
Yeah.
photographer, and he wants her to, like, model for him. Because the fortune teller also said to say yes to every opportunity that comes her way. So then Joey's, like,
Mhm.
all of a sudden in this weird situation where she's modeling.
Uh, did you peep, like, how good we know Katie Holmes is at modeling?
Yeah,
'Cause,
with
like,
the looking over the shoulder.
like, the fake laugh
It's not like she's been on the cover of Vogue or anything.
right? That's what I'm saying, like, you could see, like, everything that she was doing is like, "Oh, Katie Holmes has been doing this since she was literally, like, this big, like,
Yeah,
literally this tall. She's
right,
fine. She's totally fine." This is Joey. We were watching Katie Holmes model because she's
right.
gorgeous, of course, but, like
That actor, by the way, is somebody in the soap world. He,
Oh,
got his start on Sunset Beach, which was a short-lived soap
okay.
opera in the '90s, and then he
Mhm.
was kinda making guest appearances on, like, WB shows. He was in Bride of
Mm,
Chucky, he's been on
okay.
Passions. Most recently, he was, like, a temporary recast on General Hospital a few years ago, and he also was or is still married to one of the Beverly Hills Housewives.
Okay,
Yeah.
good for him.
So his name is
I
Nick
could
Stabile. I don't know if you've seen him in anything, but that's who that is.
I feel like his face is very recognizable. Like, when I
Yeah.
saw him, I thought, like, "I've seen you in other things before." And
Yeah,
I was like, "You're
he's one
like,
of
I
those, "Oh, it's that guy," kind of, like, situation.
yeah." Also, I'm horrific with names and, like, I know faces, like, it's all the visual, but, like, understanding the name or the show they were on or when that happened could be anytime, any place, or I could have seen them on the street and be like, "I saw you on a show once." It's like, "No."
Um, so he ends up being gay. And, at first I was like, "Oh, poor Joey, she's just gonna think every guy that she kinda
Can't
thinks is
catch a
flirting with her is
break.
gonna be gay."
Can't catch a break. That was my exclamation for this episode. The first one was, "One's a funny drunk. Joey can't find a heterosexual, like, partner."
In Cape Side, apparently, everybody's gay.
She finds literally the only 2 gay guys to flirt with in Cape Side.
Right.
That's her superpower. And I was like and I kinda clocked it a
Maybe
little
she's
early
just a
on.
gay icon and we fluttered her.
You know what? Yes, correct, correct. That's her lot in life is to be, like, the beacon for a safe she's a safe space for the gays. Like, it's
Yeah.
really what it is. She's accepting, she will come in, she'll hold you and make you feel good and safe. I did kinda clock it early on when he first met, like, once they had, like, a little coffee and they were sitting down and he kept, like, touching her face and
Uh-huh.
then touched her mouth, like and he was, like, looking at her, I was like, "Oh, he's eyeballing her for photography."
Oh,
I'm like, "No, like, regular guy, like, would legitimately touch their face, like, uncontrollably unless you were looking at someone as, like, a artistic object." You know what I mean?
right.
Like, you feel like they're not really human, which is kind of messed up, but, like, I was like, "Oh, no, he's gonna ask her to take pictures," and then, like, and then there you go. He asked her to model, and I was like, "Typical." But I did feel so like she did that thing. They kept getting so close to each other. Like she kept
Mhm.
like their faces were like this. And then he's like, "Oh, so does Jack have a boyfriend?"
Yeah.
Oh God! Immediately separate. Oh, oh.
So she tells Jack that she told him that he would meet him, and Jack freaks out because he's like, "I just came out. I'm
Oh,
not ready to, like, I'm not at that step yet." Like, he's like,
the
"Just
pure
because you met
planet.
2 homosexuals doesn't mean that they should be together." Which is true. I feel
True,
like that
very
is
true.
has always been,
It's a
the
straight thing to
struggle
do
of
for
the
sure.
homosexual. Just because we're okay doesn't mean we like each other.
Oh, I know someone else who is gay.
Yeah.
You will date them, yes? That's what you do? Yeah,
Do you know them?
yeah, very that's
His
very
name's
very
John. Do you know him?
yeah, yeah, like, you're good with just anyone, right? Like, anybody. They just have to like guys, right? No problem. So oh, yeah, no, she definitely did that, and it was kinda like, "Oh, Joey." But it was pretty funny seeing, like, Jack just full-blown panic mode because he's like,
Mhm.
"I don't even know I just figured out that I like guys. I don't even know how to date a
I can't,
guy,
like,
like, could you tell
be
me?"
out with a real life guy. Like,
Yeah, this has all just been in my head. There's, like, nothing that I
let
don't
me
know
watch
what to do
porn
with
first
any
or
of this.
something.
Yeah, like, I don't know what to do with my what do you do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, his whole mind just flashed through all the options that could possibly happen to him in this scenario and full panic mode, and I felt for him. Like, I feel for Jack a lot of the time. Like, I was so mad at him for, like, getting in between, like, Joey and Dawson in a weird way. It was just kinda like, now I'm just like, "Oh, you poor sweet soul." Protect him. Like, he doesn't need this yet. Like,
Right. They make up, and Joey ends up meeting up with the guy and saying that Jack wasn't ready, and the guy kinda says that he's on a rebound.
yeah.
Um, but let's talk about Dawson because we haven't mentioned him at all. So there's a
Yeah.
new, film class teacher, uh,
Mhm.
Miss Kennedy. Did you recognize her?
I did not recognize her, but she's a very beautiful lady, so I'm sure she's somebody. She's, like, too
Your
beautiful.
mind your mind's about to blow. You're about to die again. That is
Okay.
Alice Cooper from Riverdale, Betty's mom.
Oh! Oh my god. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to rewatch that now.
yeah.
Oh
That's,
my god.
I know I'm
Okay.
gonna, like, ruin saying her name, Madkin Amick?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a name. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, so
wow.
that's, Alice Cooper from Riverdale, and she's probably her first rise to fame would probably be Twin Peaks in the early '90s.
Okay.
That has, like, a cult
She's so
following.
she's just, like, so pretty. Like,
Yeah.
I kinda was like, "Oh, she's somebody, but she's way too pretty to be in this set right now." Like, she's like that ethereal beauty, like, where you're like, "What?"
Because I
I was
knew to
wondering.
look for her, I was like, "Okay, it's her." And I was like, "Okay, she's younger, even though she hasn't really aged." I was like, "Her hair is darker." And when I saw her name in the credits, I was like, "She's gonna know." I wanted you to not know so that I could have this moment, but, like,
No,
I
none
felt like I was like,
whatsoever.
"Oh, she's gonna figure it out when she sees the name."
Right over right over my head. Literally the only person I've recognized is Rachel Lee Cook. I'm like, "She's all that!" But I was thinking the writers were going down like the path of like, oh, this is Dawson's turn to have a crush on a teacher and it be
Uh,
horrifically appropriate. Um, because they were kind of like he was just so kind of enamored with her. He
yeah.
did kind of explain it too, saying like this is like hero worship more than like attraction, like
Yeah.
of any romantic nature. And I get that because he's like, oh,
I
I
don't
need someone to
remember
talk
what it
about.
was. Did she have, like, a film that was gonna go into production, or she wrote a script or
Yes.
something?
So according to Dawson, she was writing a script for Columbia. She
Okay.
was on sabbatical from her career and decided to come back. She's from, I guess, the area or like a similar small town, and
Mhm.
she's a screenwriter, and was came here to like I guess do this while she was writing her script and was teaching film class, and also Dawson is wrapping up his movie. Oh, the opening of the episode was hysterical. Can we talk about that? The opening of this episode. He has a nightmare. He's having nightmares, or is that
Oh,
the next one?
yes.
Right?
Yes, it
Yes.
was this one. So
So
Joey
he's
and
having
him in the dream or nightmare are watching his movie, and she's telling him how great it is. And the minute she started they use big words to begin with, but I
yeah,
felt like these were bigger, and that
yeah,
kind of, like, cued me that something was off. I was like, what?
Mhm. Yeah, it was like her over, like, exaggeration of her happiness about the film because
Like,
you
it was the
just don't
best
see
film she had ever seen in her entire life. I was just
really.
like, "What?" I was like, "Are you sure?"
Howie is never this,
Generous with her
I guess
compliments.
yes, that's sort of like where she's never this generous with compliments. She's always very much, like, ready to kinda give him exactly, like, what he needs to know. And then, like, the whole scene where she said that it was Jack's, like, Jack, I forget his last name, but his movie, and Dawson's like, "What? It's
Yeah,
my movie." And she's like, "Uh-uh," and they pop the VHS and it says his name on the thing. I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is unfair." I was like, "'Cause it's not," and he just also when he just at conveniently at the exact same time just climbs out the window, like, into
yeah,
the room, like he was
uh-huh.
waiting on the roof the whole
And then he
time for his
proposes to her. And she's like,
like,
"Yes," and he's like, "No."
I was dying. I'm not gonna lie, these couple episodes were pretty freaking funny. They had a lot of comedic moments, like these 2 specifically. I was literally cackling. I'm like, "This is just so funny." He's having a real, like, kind of like a creative nightmare. Like,
Right.
just yeah.
So, he shows his film to the new film teacher, and she's like, "Do you want, like, my unfiltered opinion?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, he's like, "I need notes." He's like, "I wanna make it in the industry. I need, like, to hear the truth." So she
Yeah.
basically rips it apart. She I think in a roundabout way, she says it was wordy, which is what a lot of people said. And she
Yeah.
said something like a self-indulgent soap opera, and I'm like, "Well, that's where we are right now. We're in a soap opera."
Currently watching it. I'm watching it on my laptop, and it was airing on TV. So, yes, it is. It's a self-indulgent soap. I love it.
So he's, like,
Yeah.
devastated. He feels like
Yes.
he's like, "Maybe I just need to, like, re-edit it or something." He just feels like he's a failure.
Yeah.
That he thought he did so
Told
great
her.
with his first horror movie that he got the funding to make this movie, that he was, like, on the right path,
Yeah.
and he just doesn't know what to do. He's just, like, flailing. He's, like, questioning everything he knows about his dream.
Good. I mean, I would if someone ripped my shit like that, I would be like, I need to change my whole life choices now."
Right.
But I think
Especially at freshly 16 years old, like, you're very vulnerable.
he's already going through it. I mean, like, he already had, like, his, like, crisis at midnight when he turned 16. So it's kinda like he's already on the edge. He's not doing good. He's having nightmares, and before
Mhm.
she even tells him about this, what are things about. But I think his mom was actually, like she did the typical "It's very honey, you're so creative" like thing. But she also did say she's like it's a one person's opinion, first off, and second
Yeah.
off, just because she says it's the industry doesn't she's industry.
Yeah.
Like creative is very subjective, like all over the board. Like we were saying, like we're watching the self-indulgent soap opera right now, and
Right.
hundreds of millions of people did too at the time. So there
Right.
is an audience that makes it successful. But like
Right.
just because she doesn't think it's like the thing that she would do doesn't mean it's not a thing that won't be successful either.
It
So it's
almost came
like
off like she was bitter, like she had been turned down and she was, like, taking it out on him.
a little bit. A little bit. I think so
Right.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, she was doing it under the guise of, like I feel like the real lesson at the end was that, like, the business is rough. They will say these things to you. You will hear these things said about your creative. You need to be ready and prepared for it to
Yeah.
and defend it. That's really what being a creative is about, like, on any level, like doing
Yeah.
film, music, writing, all of it. You have to be ready for the criticism and to be able to defend your work and stand behind it. Like, it's if you feel good about it, or being able to pivot, take in advice, and not take
Yeah.
it as a personal assault on your
Yeah.
soul, which is what I think happened to Dawson. I think
Right.
his soul got ripped out of his chest and held out in front of him and said, "Here it is."
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like he thinks like, "Oh, like, I'm building on my dream, like, I'm actually making films, like, obviously, everything I make has to be perfect and a hit right out the gate."
Of course. How else
Yeah.
are you worth it? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, tying your full self-worth to the product for which you create is never a good thing. You gotta sever that tie
Yeah.
ASP, because like, especially if it don't work out, it doesn't successful, you need to move on. Go move on to the next thing. Especially if you're gonna survive, for sure.
So, Grams ends up getting stood up because the guy that asked her to dinner, his wife was sick. So apparently he like was just an old classmate that just wanted to catch up over dinner. It wasn't like a
Yeah,
romantic thing. But
yeah.
Jen is like really bummed and she's like she feels bad that like she got her Grams all excited about this. But she's like,
Mhm.
no, she's like, you made me realize that my life's not over and maybe I should, keep my eyes open to other
Well, you know,
experiences.
really turned around on Graham. I thought she was gonna be like the worst kind of adult in these shows, just very
Mhm,
firm. Like she is, but she is like a amazing character. Like just kind of like she learns, she grows, she listens to Jen, like and takes her advice and stuff.
mhm.
Like it doesn't shut out like adults tend to do for young, kids. I
But
think
she
it's
knows when to
amazing.
rein it in and be a parent and be the adult in the situation.
Absolutely. She knows, like, I mean, one of the best parts was when she was telling Ty or whatever the hell his name is, that's like, no, man, that's not how Jesus works.
Right.
We don't just shun people just because they're different. We give them love,
Right.
and whatever it is, we give them support. We house them. That's what real Christians do. And that
Mhm.
was like, oh, hell yeah, Graham, hell yeah, uh,
Grams
love
would be
you
like, "Don't
for it.
say hell."
Yeah, all right, heck yeah, that's right,
Um,
play queen.
so Joey goes home and there's a man standing at the door and she's like, "Who's there?" And the guy turns around and it's her father. He's out of jail. So that was the tall, dark man that was
Yeah.
gonna come into her life.
This second knew what she was talking about.
Yeah.
She kind of she was dropping little like
In
hints.
between smoking cigarettes and
Yeah, yeah. Just I love a lot of the parts of the episode where she's just popping up out of nowhere. You
Uh-huh.
know, like they're like the two characters are talking. Like I think one of the last scenes with Dawson when he like shows up to the fair and it's like everything's closed down and he's like, oh, I just want my fortune rent. And he's just sitting there sulking. She just shows up. He's like, oh, well, I'll just tell you right now. I think
Mhm.
she did it to Casey too, which was really, really funny. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's a legit. She's legit. She knows what she's talking about. Mhm.
Um, do you have anything else to add on this episode before we move on to the next?
I thought it was also funny how Pacey was like, don't believe that mumbo jumbo. Like, you know what I mean? He was so anti fortune teller that he
Mhm.
just kind of was trying to talk Andy out of getting it told. And of course, it kind of messed Andy up a little bit, because she wants them to get out of. She said, I think one line she said, "I want to know that the suffering's gonna is over. Like, I
Right.
don't think I can do more of it in
Right.
my life." And
Yeah.
that was heartbreaking to hear because it's like, girlfriend, unfortunately, life is suffering. This is just a trial run to prepare you for ultimate suffering later on
Yeah,
in your life.
unfortunately,
I'm
you got
sure.
a taste of it very at a young age.
Yeah, it just sucks that it started so soon for you, and I thought him just being like such a curmudgeon the whole episode was pretty funny
He was very
and
much
great.
like it's all about the power of suggestion. If you believe it, you could, like, will it to happen.
Absolutely. I love those scenes where, like, they had the chimes, like, a wind would go through the chimes to let you know that, like, some serious shit was happening, like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh,
Like, the ghosts were actually there, the spirits were actually telling her what's up, and, like,
uh-huh.
when the candle went out, like, that on that one time, I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." I love this stuff.
Alright, well, our last episode, episode 18, is titled "A Perfect Wedding,"
Mhm.
and w I don't know if it was one of, Bessie's friends or somebody in town. They lost their
Mhm.
caterer for the wedding, so
Mhm.
the ice house is going to cater the wedding, and
Mhm.
I guess Joey's father is back in charge now that he's out of jail. He was in a chef's
Well, he's a
uniform, so
chef.
maybe he's the chef. So I
Yeah,
don't know where Bodhi
apparently,
went.
I think
Bodhi just disappeared. We don't talk about him. He's just gone.
yeah. Well,
Bessie's basically
that
a
was
single
I
mom.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, where is Bessie's husband? Because that baby, is white. I hate to say that. It's definitely not mixed,
Uh-huh.
and or it could be. But I was just kind of like, the husband has not shown his face like for many episodes, and now that the dad's back, it's like I think he definitely would show up. But you did say like we never.
They never explained it either. He's gone, and you think she's a single mom, and then at some point he reappears. They don't say why. They don't say if they worked it out. Nothing.
Oh, how what a plot hole,
Right.
writers. Jeez. Uh, yeah, and I think like so this is assumptions. They don't explain it, so maybe like I don't know if I missed something, but I'm assuming that Dad and the fam started the ice house, and he got pinched because I guess Joey said that he was gone for 3 years. Like he's been out of our lives for 3 years. He can't just come back.
Yeah.
So he was in prison for three
Mhm.
years. So like, there's a chance he could have started the business, had to leave. Bessie took over basically all of it, like, and the
Yeah.
mom died. And so he was probably just coming back, like, he's ready to go. Let's make
Yeah.
it happen. And he's the cook. He does a thing. And maybe Bessie's husband was supplementing the cooking in between until he decided to leave for better things. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's what I picked up at least a little bit from it.
Um, Joey's seems happy that he's back, but also a little hesitant to get too
Hmm.
close at first.
Yeah.
I which is I feel like is natural because it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, we had that nice moment when I came to see you in prison and we kind of made up, but like that just doesn't just like, absolve you of everything. There's still that like resentment and trauma of everything that happened. You can't just be like everything is clean slate just because you're out of prison. We have to
For
deal with what
sure.
happened and work on our relationship. So I feel like she's kind
Right.
of like, wait, are we moving too fast? Like, are you sure this is gonna work? She seemed like she was running the show because she was so stressed out about this wedding going off without a hitch.
Yeah, like,
And Bessie's like, it's fine, it'll work out. Don't worry.
we're fine. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, she was giving like the vibe of like the hot, like kind of how Andy is in her family unit,
Uh-huh.
like Joey ends up being in her family unit. Like she's got the carefree Bessie who's just like, hey, well, whatever, we'll deal with it. It's a great idea. And her dad's just kind of swooping in and making decisions for the business without even like Joey doesn't even know it's happening until she walks into the doorway. Like it's
Right.
kind of like they've already decided they're doing catering. He's gonna be there. It's gonna be fine. And she's like, "What are you talking about? Like, have you not heard what everybody's been saying like about everyone up until this point? Like, are we
Yeah.
just gonna gloss over that whole period where we've been like ostracized by the entire town, and
Well,
now you
feeding
want to?"
into that, Joey overheard some women over lunch having their wine talking trash about him.
Yeah, it's still happening.
Yeah.
So it's like this really the smartest move. And I totally get where she's coming from because like it's too much too fast. Like you were saying, like you're just coming in, we're gonna pretend like this never happened apparently. We're just getting right into it. And like you get the motivations of everyone, but like it's all good intentions,
Yeah.
but it's still not addressing any of the issues that
They
anybody's
asked
been through.
Joey if her friends could help out with the catering, so Andy and Casey and Dawson, that's it. They didn't ask Jen, um,
No,
or
that's
helping.
so mean.
Speaking of Jen, though, she's feeling restless, she's bored, you know? So she approaches Abby and is basically like, "When I think about all the fun times I've had this year, you were a part of it." I'm like, "Yeah? Are you sure?"
Like, you remember the shit she said to you though? Like, she called you a slut too. I mean, though
Yeah.
she does later on in the episode call her
Remember when
slut
you
again.
slapped her because she called you a slut? And then she was like, "I can't believe you hit me."
Like how, like to me, it's like how boring can this town be? It does like with all the stuff that's always happening.
Right.
It's kind of like. But I do wonder, why is it that like Joey and Pacey and Dawson don't like bring Jen more into the fold? It feels like
Right.
she's still very much an outsider of their group, which I'm kind of like, why?
Right.
You would have thought that by now they would be a little bit closer, especially since she kind of moved on, and Dawson's really
She was a part
Joey.
of his movie. But that was one of her lines. She's like, I guess now that the movie's wrapped,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but they were like
I
getting
mean,
close before the movie. That's why he asked her to be a part of the movie because she was like there for him when he was upset that his parents were getting divorced. Like they were like
right.
helping each other. He was like keeping her sober because he was giving her something to do. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah,
all of
it's
that
a
stuff. So
little weird. It's a little plot holy.
yeah, I felt for Jen why she would finally seek some sort of connection with someone. She would want to seek a connection with someone else because, like, you're not inviting that, like, her part of stuff, then, like, what else is there? Like, you can't beg people to hang out with you. That's, you have some pride, right?
Yeah. Joey's father hears her like freaking out of Betsy about like, people talking trash about him and how he
Mhm.
can't just like come into their lives and like make everything better and he overhears it. So there's this whole like guilt moment that she feels bad that he heard it. Um
Mhm.
they make up and she actually asks him to dance, but he kind of pulls away and says he's not ready for that yet. To like be out in the public eye and like, he has to ease into it. But then they have a sweet
Mhm.
moment. He actually changed into a tux and they danced together.
So nice. It's so nice. Again, I
Um,
always want to everything that, she wants to have the stability of her family back, like,
yeah.
desperately. This is one of those things.
Um, Pacey and Andy, I think it was Pacey's fault, but it was an accident. Accidentally knocked over the top tier of the cake.
Yeah.
So that
In the
he's tasked with having to try and mold it into something that looks like a cake. And he
they
just wants
have
Andy to admit that she likes weddings and she won't do it. And he refuses to
they're
continue working on the
adorable.
cake until she admits it. And she's like, fine, I'm a sucker for taffeta.
I love them through this whole episode because they're just bickering nonstop about,
But
like,
it's fun bickering.
being
It's not like real drama. It's
it's
just,
silly. It's
yeah.
silly. Just like, and he's like, "Come on, you love this stuff," and she's like, "No, I don't. This is all bull BS. Like, I don't. We don't should not. Why would anybody want to do all this stuff? It's just so much pomp and circumstance for like nothing." And he's like, "Oh, come on!" And then like little things here and there, like she's concerned over the icing on the groom, and then like
Yeah.
this little thing, and it's so cute. I love them so much. They're amazing together. So happy.
Dawson's parents are guests at this wedding, and it looks like Mitch has brought Mrs. Kennedy as his date to the wedding.
We did get a little scene in the previous episode where, like, she guesses that Dawson has made a movie because Mitch has been talking about it in the teacher's lounge, right?
Yes.
And
Hmm.
that was like your first little signal that they talk. And then there's a scene where she's in his truck when they're leaving the fair.
Right.
And
Hmm.
oh, what's this?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a
Um,
little.
so Jen and Abby are not invited to this wedding, but they decide to crash it. And Andy freaks out and like kicks them out before like they're spotted and there's a scene. So
Mm,
um Jen doesn't want to cause a scene, so she says they'll come back later when everybody's a little bit more toasted from drinking and they won't notice. But Abby grabs a bottle of
mm,
champagne and they leave. Um
mm.
Meanwhile, I'm jumping all over the place because this is in the order that it happened. The bride's about to
Okay.
like, come out the window and like basically be a runaway bride. And Dawson and Jack are the ones that have to like talk her into going through with the wedding.
And Don is not doing a good job.
No.
He's not doing a good job at all. If anything, he's making things way worse for this poor bride who's having a full blown panic attack about whether
Right.
or not she loves the guy she's gonna marry. Dawson's not helping at all.
But Jack ends up being able to get her to come around. And
Mhm.
after the ceremony, she like finds Jack and she thanks him and hugs him. She's like, what did she say? You saved my life. And Dawson's just
Mhm.
like, "How do you do that? How do you," he's like, "Ho" he's like, "I don't know, I guess I just said the right thing." He's like, "But how?" He's like, "How do you always do that?"
Yeah, he's empathetic.
Yeah.
He's not thinking about what it's like for him in this scenario, he's thinking about what it's like for her. Like, some of the he said some things saying that, like, you're just feeling some, like, jitters, like, right beforehand, and, like, love is not perfect, not meant to be perfect, and, like, once you see him, everything's gonna come into focus for you. And they have this beautiful scene where, like, you see her walking down the aisle and she kind of sees him and she, like, kind of she takes that, like, deep breath of, like, relief of, like,
Mhm.
exactly what he said was gonna happen happened. And yeah, it was really
I feel like it was an underlying thing where Dawson, he even says it to Joey, that he's a little bit
nice.
jealous because now Jack seems to be the one that she runs to and tells, like, all her secrets and, like, what's going on. Because he didn't know that her father was back in town, but Jack did. Jack was actually the one that told him.
Yeah,
He's, like, a little
yeah,
bit jealous about that also.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they end up dancing, and I was like, "I've never been to a wedding where the catering staff was able to just, like, stop what they were doing and start dancing with each other." Like
Well, like, I mean, it's kind of like, I feel like I've kind of seen stuff like that happen in real life, and it's like, like, the people who are like, you're friends with the
Yeah,
people who are catering is,
yeah.
like, hiring, like, a catering staff. So, like,
Mhm.
I feel like everybody knows each other, and for the most part here, and it
Probably,
felt
yeah.
like end of the wedding type dances, and everybody's just hit, like, they're still probably toasted from, drinking, and it's like one of the last dances kind of
Yeah.
situation, but they all look like their little waiter outfits.
So this was when Joey was dancing with her father, because then Gail and Dawson are dancing and they kind of bump, I guess. And
Mhm.
Gail asks Mike, that's Joey's father's name, if they could dance. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay. Mitch has got a little girlfriend. I was like, is Gail gonna date Joey's father? Is that gonna be a thing?
I don't know. Wasn't
I was like, is that
communication.
weird if like parents are dating and kids are dating? I was like, I know they do that a lot on TV. Like
I mean, I would be weirded out about it because it's kind of like, if you all get married, that makes us step
that means I'm
siblings,
dating my
and I'm not
stepsister. Yeah.
doing something like
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, Dawson trying to reach, because, like, Gail was on a war path to get Mitch back. Like,
Hmm.
I think, Dawson gives his mom, like, some advice and says, like, go after it. Like, if you want him, get him, bring him back. And she's like, I'm gonna take advice, I'm gonna get him back. And she comes in and she looked really good too. Not gonna lie. And she was going to that wedding to get him back, and he walks in, like, literally gorgeous, McGorgeous lady, you know,
Alice
Betty's
Cooper.
mom, Alice, Alice Cooper,
She is a Southside
and
servant.
yeah, like, literally boom, and she's just like, oh, like, you could just complete and total deflate. And he comes up and he's like, "Can you," like, does a wonderful son thing, "You wanna dance with me?" And it was
Yeah.
really, really cute. And I think Michael sees them and goes, "Oh, I think someone wants to dance with you, Joey." And then,
Yeah.
like, they kinda, like, force them together.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay." And then she gives him, like, this insanely hug, because he does to her and, like, help her out through that, like, little interaction where, like,
Uh-huh.
Michael hears Joey basically freaking out about, like, what's gonna happen to her dad if he, like, he's like, is this the right thing to do? Should we have been doing this? Because she thinks she saw the cake get destroyed too. So it's like
Yeah.
full on mode. And Dawson does, like, talk her down from all that. And I think this is, like, the end of all that. And they kind of, like, they do this, like, real deep hug
Yeah.
sway, like, dancing thing.
And
Uh,
they, in that moment, decide to get back together.
it,
Finally, after 12 episodes of torture.
That's the thing, I don't know. They've done this, like, 3 times already. It's like, I don't even
They're
know if
like
they
full
break
on
up.
making out.
Yeah, they are making out, but you can make out and still not, like, get back together, I think, right? I mean, but they kind of like didn't break up like 3 times. Like they kept saying like, "Oh, this is just it, I guess. We can't be together anymore." They don't say like we're breaking up. They just stop seeing each
Yeah.
other. And then this is the same thing. It's just kind of like they're saying they love each other, but they're not like, okay, we're gonna be boyfriend girlfriend now. I guess we just have to wait till the next episode for sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure the next episode is titled Reunited, so take that as
Okay.
you will.
So technically, I mean, I accept it. It felt like they were fighting the devil light in a weird way. Like also in the last episode when Joey was talking to that guy when he was saying like, "Yeah, I just got out of a breakup," and she's like, "Well, why'd you break up?" And he's like, I don't even know. At the time, I had
Yeah,
like 1,000 reasons, but now I
yeah.
just don't think of anyone." And so I was like,
She
"Oh,
kinda had that moment like, "Yeah, I don't know
yeah,
why either."
I don't know. I broke up there. Like I wanted to find. I still think she should find herself. You know,
Maybe
like
go to France.
just like, "Oh, France." I think I said that actually. Like I think she said something that's like, "Gosh, it's like everything's just so dramatic or whatever." I'm like, if you went to France, you wouldn't even be dealing with this right now.
Right. You wouldn't have had a gay boyfriend?
You wouldn't have had
Well, who knows? You never
two
know.
boyfriends. I mean, it would probably be like, he's just like, I'm do both. I do both. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, it was incredibly sweet, and I was like, oh,
so kind of like cut with the wedding, Jen and Abby are drinking on the docks, and Abby ends up slipping and hitting her head. And
yeah,
because she's drunk, Jen thinks this is funny and is laughing. And
uh-huh,
Abby says, "It's not funny, you bitch," and or something along the "you bitch" is the last thing she says, and she falls off the pier into the
uh-huh,
water. And Jen is like panicked and she jumps in to go save her. And then we cut back to the
yep,
wedding and we see all the dancing and the kissing. And then we cut back
yep,
to the docks and we see a purple blue Abby dead in a body bag, and the body bag being zipped up. And Jen just wrapped in a blanket as the ambulance goes away, and Dayna died also.
this is when I died. Like I died. I went, what?
Is
And
that
then
when your neighbor heard you?
I think I rewound to make sure that I saw what I saw. Cause
Uh-huh.
like I'm like, oh, they're just gonna be in the like I was expecting them to pan down to them sitting in the ambulance, like
Yeah.
giggling because they're stupid idiots that jumped into the fucking river or whatever. And I was like, and then when you just see the black bag, I was like, what? And then her face, and then the zoom in on the face, just like the partial zoom in the face. I think that's when I went, oh my God, like out loud. Like, and then that's when Kath yelled back at me to tell me to shut up. Oh. And then I told her I'm allowed to say whatever I want in my house. And then she said, no, shut up. And then, yeah, we just, the window. But I, I don't know how to feel about it because I hated her character
Mhm.
so much.
Mhm.
And I kind of, part of me was like, yeah, she's great. I don't have to see her again. But then at the same time, like, up that she was talking about how lonely she was and how, like, just like obviously things just aren't right somewhere, but we know her family life was like, I just never understood her at all. Like her
Yeah.
motives, why she was so chaotic, why she did all the things she did, why she said the things that she said half the
Yeah.
time. And I'm like shocked, but then also, unfortunately, not sad about it. I don't know. It's wild.
There were probably a few behind the scenes reasons why this happened. She wasn't a main cast member, she was recurring. Maybe she got a pilot for another show, and so they
Yeah.
had to kill her off.
Yeah.
Because she was only in, she was in 2 episodes, I think, in the first season. She was in the
Mm,
library episode where they had detention, and
yeah.
then I think she popped up one more time when Joey had that rumor spread that she slept with that football player that couldn't get it up, and Abby
Yeah.
spread the rumor that she was pregnant. So she made 2
Yeah.
appearances in season 1, but she was pretty much in, if not every other episode this season.
Right, causing a ruckus.
Yeah, which makes me think maybe they had plans to offer her a contract for the next season, and maybe she got a pilot and decided not to, and so they're like, "All right, we'll kill you off." Because
I'm
like,
kind of curious. You have
the
to look
scene with
into her.
Abby, like, her
Mhm.
one true real scene, I don't know, I felt like we were laying the groundwork to, like, get deeper into Abby and find out who she really is, and we
Yeah,
never really got there, and now she's dead.
no. Well, that's what I mean. Like, so it's like I had zero emotional connection to her. Like
Mhm.
I none. I mean, like honestly, like if they hit her with a bus, I probably would have laughed. Like that's how much I didn't like her. Like I didn't like her, I just didn't like everything she did. Like it was always felt like a like we were just saying like earlier in this episode that like you can't trust anything she was saying. Like even when
Yeah.
you thought first, like there's always these moments where you thought for a second, oh, she has a soul. Like she
Mhm.
kind of does care a little about these people because like otherwise why would she be going to such lengths to get so much attention from them and then like just to like literally poop all over them once they get there. And it's like you got some psychological issues, girlfriend, that aren't
Right.
going to be fixed by these young teens. And
I don't know if you
I feel
remember
bad
me
for
saying this, but I had mentioned that I enjoy Abby more on a rewatch, and I think it's
yeah
because I know what happens, so I could see the end in sight, so I can kind of enjoy her in the moment for what she is, and
yeah,
as
like
terrible as she
she's a
is, kinda get a laugh out of her.
yeah. Like, you understand that she's, like, a finite character, that she's definite like, there's a definitive ending, and that
Yeah,
means that, like you know what I mean? So everything that she's doing isn't really gonna be long-lasting
right.
issues for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for the next 4
But
seasons, 4.5 seasons.
yeah, exactly, like, all these people, like, literally for the whole show, and I was gonna have to go, "Ugh,
Right.
Abby, gross." Like, get her out of here. I understand she's the token mean girl, but come on, she's the worst.
So do you
And
feel relieved that she's dead? Because you don't have to deal with her for the next 4.5 seasons?
I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, kind of hurt. Like okay, I'm just gonna say it. My brain said, "Ding dong, the bitch is dead." Finally, like I'm gone. Stop terrorizing literally everyone, especially my girl Joey. I hate it, and my girl Andy and my OTP. I can't stand that. But I feel bad for Jen now.
Right,
Like Jen needs another trauma in her life to happen.
right.
She witnessed this girl die. She tried to save her life and then she died. I'm not sure exactly how this went down because obviously we don't know. We don't know like what happened between ambulance and the fall in the water. But
Yeah,
like, could you imagine having all that craziness happen in New York, right? You lose your Virginia or you get some mess, your parents kick you out, you go down to another state away, you're with your grandparents, your grandpa's not doing too well, he dies, and
yeah.
then you have like a very short-lived romance, and then you know what I mean? Just
I think she probably drowned. She was first of all, she was drunk. Second, she hit her head, so she was concussed. And then being in the
right.
water, she between the head injury and being drunk, she probably didn't have the wherewithal to try and swim or
Right.
float,
And
so
it
she
was
probably drowned.
dark.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
dark,
Well,
she probably drowned.
yeah, I can definitely see that, but being Jen, jumping in,
Mhm.
trying to find her and then save her,
Yeah,
even if let's say you get to her and then get her out of the water, like that whole process, all of
yeah.
that. Like,
Mhm.
oh, next
Yep,
episode for Jen is gonna be horrific. I have no idea what she's gonna even be like. It's gonna be bad.
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
poor
I will say your OTP kinda had it easy these last 3 episodes, they didn't break up at
I
all.
know! I know! I'm so happy. I can't tell you. We had great episodes.
I was like, 3
Pacey,
episodes in a row, they didn't, like, fight, like, really fight or
no.
break up, like
Andy's going to therapy. Casey's still doing great. They're so happy. Oh my God. I'm scared for the next episodes. I don't know what's in store for them, of course, because I watched for the first time. So I'm scared knowing these writers, what they're going to do to me. It's not right. Um, but yes, I love them. Yay. Oop, this way. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, we're coming down to the end. We have 4 episodes left. I think
Oh god.
we're gonna split it up. We're gonna do 2 and 2, just to
Okay.
extend it
No,
a
you know what?
little.
I don't trust how you split up these episodes. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some ridiculous cliffhanger, and you're gonna
Well,
make me
besides like
be
the
so.
season finale, I really at this point, and I don't think there's any more cliffhangers that I remember. But I feel like the finale is kind of like a two-parter, so that's why I feel like we should just split it.
For sure.
So
For sure.
I'm
I'm
actually
I'm
being
down.
I'm actually being nice.
Are you?
I
Are
think so.
you?
I think so.
Little devil. Them folks at the little devil horns. Yeah, I think I'm being nice to you, I think. That's okay. Honestly, I am following the lead that is laid out before me. I know when I am supposed to follow, so I'm on the journey. I'm trusting the process here, but I will complain.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just scared and can't believe this. I can't believe they killed Abby. I'm really, really floored by that decision. But like you said, maybe there has to be some behind the scene reason because she seemed like one of those characters that they never write off because she's just too ridiculous. You
I'm
know?
glad that you're having like these shocking moment experiences that I wanted for you.
Of
That's why I've acted
course.
out the way that I have.
I'm like,
And you're not spoiled by
I'm
like the promos that kind of mislead, like seeing the promo
mm-hmm.
before the episode, and I feel like that adds to it. So I feel like I'm a little bit
Yeah.
jealous that you're having that experience that I didn't get to have.
Well, like I'm
You're
watching
just
it
like
on like.
blind. You're just like, what's gonna happen?
So just saying that, like, just for everybody who watches this, he literally re-edits these episodes so I get the music and the appropriate music for the episodes, and he uploads them for me. So I'm literally watching it on like my own private like viewer journey just for me. I'm very special. So like I am all like I'm at the mercy of him and what he wants to. I view this as perfectly orchestrated by our lovely host. So like I am on the journey. I'm ready. I This roller coaster ride is amazing so far. So I'm on it.
I'm
He's
glad you
like,
like
I want
it.
to this how I want it to be. This is gonna give this to you as a gift. And it's like, thank you.
And you don't have to wait a whole week just to watch one
I
episode. You're watching like a
know.
couple at a time.
I know. I mean, like this particular, if it was like I was watching as like a binge, like if I just discovered it, I probably would have just buzzed right to the end because like I need to know what happens. But it's like literally like this is the way everyone should curate shows for me. Just give me a little bit, just
Mhm.
hold me lingering on, tail me, like drag me along, leave me along for the rest. Because otherwise, I'll just gobble it all up at once, and
And you're like, what did I just watch?
I know. I just
Stuff
went through a
happens.
fever
People
dream
broke up.
for 7 hours. Exactly. They broke up, they got back together, and they never say.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dawson's Creek. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great week. Bye.